Hello and welcome to another episode of Not Another Nutrition Podcast. This is just an intro to the actual episode. I recorded this episode close to when I first ever started the podcast. I think when I'd only recorded a couple of episodes. So this is probably back in 2020, I guess. I wanted to add to it a bit more. It's around different areas. It's a wisdom podcast, I guess. And so any feedback on it, specifically the wisdom episodes, are always it's always much appreciated. And that's really what I talk about in the podcast with regards to imposter syndrome and my own version of it in terms of giving away what I call in these podcasts wisdom, some wise words. Hopefully. Anyway, it's my birthday tomorrow. Probably by the time this has been released, it's the day or two after my birthday, 30th of October. So I'm going to make a request for those of you who are my listeners. There's been a little spate of people leaving reviews. So thank you very much to those of you who have. If you haven't, it's just another request. That it helps with kind of iTunes ratings, and I do read them, really enjoy reading them, hearing what you think. So again, if you enjoy this one or if you enjoyed others, please do leave a review as like a annual present to me. That would be really nice. And just before I leave you with this episode, as I said, it's about imposter syndrome. There's some stuff on happiness again. I wanted to record a few more follow-ups to this at the time, but I never did. And I thought, you know what, if I don't release this now, I'm just going to keep putting it off. So I hope you enjoy it. And just one final reminder that probably when you're listening to this, it's now getting into November, and the Matt Nutrition Live event on the 27th November is there's still tickets available. I think there's about 60 left to hit full capacity. And so if you want to attend, and I am giving out a discount coupon to the event for £80 off a ticket, which is like almost half price to anyone who signs up to my Mac mail, and any of my listeners on here. Just simply click in the show notes. If you don't get the email or you can't find it, it goes to your spam folder or your promotions folder, just drop me a message on Instagram or drop an email through to my PA or the team at Matt Nutrition Uni, and we'll obviously sort you out. But yeah, I think I may have said this, but I am now doing this talk on a compassionate approach to rapid fat loss. I wrote my aims for this. I'm going to produce some sort of spreadsheet to go with my talk so that people can do some of the calculations that I talk about so often in podcasts. So it does it for you, really. So you can run your own rapid fat loss protocol. But I'm going to talk again around, an update on the evidence, an update on the science in that area. And, and this is alongside the other three amazing speakers talking on, body image, evidence-based improvements, ways to improve body image in yourself or clients if you're a practitioner, the binge eating continuum and how we can help ourselves or support clients with issues such as that. And then the one on intentional weight loss, where it meets intuitive eating and, a discussion around those concepts and how best to support clients, which methods to use and what to do. So it's going to be an amazing event. I think we've got 112 people booked onto the after party, which is obviously a big part of the event as well, which is always nice, the socializing aspect. And so there's still dinner places available and after party places available. You can do after party only if you don't want to come to the big sit down fancy dinner, because I understand we don't make any money on that. I think it's £36 or £40 for the dinner. Again, that's just how much we pay for it. And, we then also provide extra drinks for you and obviously the organisation itself and looking after you. So anyway, without further ado, I'll leave you with this episode. I hope you enjoy it. And until next time, much love. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Just checking my mic. Welcome to another episode of Not Another Nutrition Podcast. As I've mentioned before, I don't plan these. I don't have a schedule. I'm being even more organized than I meant to be, even because it was meant to be even when I just had thoughts on the move. Because sometimes my mind gets taken away and I forgot exactly what the thing that had triggered it in my mind. If I'd had a conversation, if I'd helped someone online, answered a question. I don't always make notes. Even if I make notes, I don't know where my mind went at that exact time. But I'm doing my best actually to get into the studio because I just quite like the fact that the audio is good quality. And at this point, I've only released, at the time of recording this, I don't know when it will go out. I've only released 4 podcasts, and lots of you are listening on iTunes and Spotify rather than watching anywhere. So yeah, I just like that the audio is maybe quite good quality for you to soothe your ears, I was going to say lubricate your ears, not that. But yeah, just so it's a pleasant listening experience. The feedback so far has been amazing, so thank you so much. I checked this morning and I was reading through some reviews. There's like over 100 on iTunes. You can only review on iTunes, it seems so at the minute. But yeah, please, I've set myself a numerical goal. I'm not going to put it out there actually. But I really appreciate that. And obviously, my goal these days is to get as much good nutrition information out there for free. And I genuinely at this point can't believe I haven't done a podcast sooner. But I think the time is right now, especially in terms of, I think, my life cycle. I read a cool post by John Berardi, who lots and lots of you will know, and I follow him on Instagram. And we actually had shared a couple of conversations, and they're really nice. Every time I hear stuff about John, my respect for him increases as an individual. And so I followed him, and he did a post about him growing into kind of a wise elder. Those weren't his words, but that's essentially what he was talking about. It's very cool. And I think, I'm a lot younger than, well, not a lot younger, but I'm younger than him. But it's a similar journey for me. And I think as well with mentoring so many people, walking a journey with so many people, like thousands. And that's not just people on Instagram, although because I interact with people so much on Instagram, I walk people's journeys through their lives. Like people who have followed me for over a decade have messaged me years and years and years and years and years ago, taken advice, implemented it. I get all this feedback and I remember stuff. So then I build these pictures in my mind and these thoughts, and I then become philosophical about things. Anyway, the reason I'm saying some of this is because at this time, I just said today publicly that I have a little bit of imposter syndrome currently around some of the wisdom topics. Talking about, I wrote a couple of things down here. I want to do some podcasts around co-parenting. I want to do some podcasts around being the other parent within, sharing children. That doesn't really make sense to you, but that's just my note. I'm going to record on imposter syndrome because it's something I've spoken so extensively on. And it's one of those ones, that's one podcast that I will plan because I really want to get all of my musings across. And in the moment, I obviously go off on tangents. That was a very nice piece of feedback I got on iTunes that someone said, his tangents are almost better than the content itself. They're insightful. So that was super nice. That's the kind of encouragement that I really appreciate right now, actually, which is why it struck home. But recording on imposter syndrome, I want to talk about this more and really get all of the elements in there and plan it so that it can be really helpful to people. And I want to talk about things that I've been pondering this. So it's situations where I feel like had some adversity, for instance, or I've experienced something, some hardship or a difficult situation. And sometimes I fail, like we all do. on a micro and a macro basis. So day to day, I might get angry at the children, I might shout at them, and I'm disappointed in myself. But then other situations, micro and macro, on the larger scale, as a general thing, parenting's hard. And I've been faced with adversity within different areas within the parenting realm. And as everyone does, some of them I've really achieved. And I'm proud of that because of the route I took, sometimes by mistake, sometimes on purpose. We either learn through experience or through, actually, I did this really specific thing. I really tried hard and it really worked. Let me tell you about it. Maybe it can help you. And so within that, it's like, those are things I want to talk about. And so I've just got this little bit thing about like, I'm young, ish. And also stuff about like not being qualified. Because I harp on a lot about people talking about things that they don't have any real knowledge on or understanding of, or they're completely wrong on. Now, I think some of these things is I'm not offering exact answers. I'm not saying insulin is bad and sugar is 6 times as addictive as cocaine, which are all BS statements. And, fasted cardio burns loads more fat. These things are categorically incorrect. There is empirical evidence that literally proves that these things are wrong. Whereas the stuff I'm going to talk about is experience, it's insights from failures and successes. And so this is me processing out loud to you. Again, hopefully you can take some of this away in your own lives. I think those of you who are nutrition practitioners, people who are trying to help others, take away from this that whilst I am not Viktor Frankl, who, if you don't know, he wrote a book. It sold about 9 million copies. And, if you know me, I don't read books, but I own his book because I just see stuff online about the book. I've read snippets, I've seen quotes, I've read a couple of summaries, and just loads of stuff that he has said. And, I just like to buy it to support the cause, maybe to reference. I read the preface just for interest. But someone like him who, again, I think there's similarities. I'm like 1 and he's like 1 million, but he's old, wise, a qualified psychologist, and he's a Holocaust survivor. And so in terms of his life experience, he's come out of arguably, the worst experience anyone could ever imagine. And his book is called Man's Search for Meaning, I think. I may have got a word or two wrong there. But he's been at a place that none of us have been, I assume, based on my listenership. And therefore, the insights he can offer, he's obviously a very special individual. I think he's special both from the perspective of his experience, but also just as a human. Some people just have something special about them. I mean, we all have special stuff about us, but maybe some people are just a bit more on the extreme end of the spectrum. And I think he's probably one of those humans. So anyway, I compare myself to him and go, WTF? Why am I talking about happiness? Why am I talking about gratitude? Why am I talking about how to find meaning in your own life? Why am I talking about imposter syndrome? You've got these famous Stoics. I tell you what, I've gone massively off topic here. This is ridiculous. I literally was going to talk a little bit about constipation. What is wrong with me? Why do I do this? Oh well, it's free information. I hope you can benefit from it. I'm hopefully feeding your mind or your soul, or you're just laughing at me, or you're just going, do you know what? If Martin, if I'm someone you look up to, Martin McDonald is happy just to do such a rookie, crappy podcast that I can start one too. I've had a couple of messages from people saying that they want to start their own podcast and they're a bit lacking the confidence too. So here you go. Look at me. You can definitely do better than me. So, but this is for you. This message is for you that I'm talking here a little bit about imposter syndrome. Do you know what? I'm not going to talk about constipation, right? I'll do another one on that. It's a super short podcast it was supposed to be, so I was just going to do a little intro, and I just wrote down these couple of notes before I came on, and then my mind went there. Anyway, well, I have no idea what I'm going to call this one. Maybe an intro to imposter syndrome, or yeah, something like that. There we go. I'm actually thinking of doing, maybe we'll just call this like an interlude. I think I'm going to do, like interlude podcasts. I'm going to go to a roughly one podcast a week. But I might do like midweek ones, like a little interludes. And I think this will be short and off topic and ridiculous enough that only the really hardcore listeners will listen to. And therefore, that's what this will be. So with regards to imposter syndrome, I just want to give you some of my thinking that has helped me, and maybe it will help you. So when people talk about nutrition, I have obviously had many, many people talk to me about their own nutrition journey, both personal, but I mainly mean professional. So when I was saying earlier, and I spoke about walking journeys with lots of people on Instagram, I'm now walking journeys with hundreds and thousands of fitness professionals. They do our nutrition course. We support them daily. We then have them inside the mentoring lab during the course, and then lots and lots of hundreds of them stay after. And we hear about their successes, we hear about their struggles. And lots of people don't know this, but I pay attention to it all. And I actually, when I'm being not a very good boss, have a go at my staff if they haven't told me about something. Like, why wasn't I made aware of this? I've just seen a post from 3 weeks ago that's unbelievable. Why did no one tell me? Oh, really sorry, I meant to send you a message. I get over it quick. And there's another insight into me not being a perfect boss. Lots of people, I'd love to work there. It seems so great. It's like, no, I have a short temper. I try my very, very best to manage it. I've got a lot better. That's another one, actually. Yes. Someone asked me, because I used to have such a short temper, like ridiculous, probably due to nurture. So nature is our genetics. Nurture is how we are nurtured, our environment, how we grow up, our life experiences. Maybe a little bit of nature in there. There is a very, very strong element of a short temper related to our physiology. And there are instances with trauma where the physiological aspect, not the psychological, but it becomes somatic, the physiology, and it can become really extreme. I won't go into my experiences with that, but you can get to a point where someone, not myself, but it comes a huge issue that needs years of therapy. And yeah, anyway, I'm going even more off topic, aren't I? My point being is a short temper is something that I really, really badly had, and I worked on, and I have some tips around it if that's you, both as a parent, a boss, and a spouse, partner. I don't know, give you someone basically asked me about this. They said they struggled, and I ended up writing them this hugely long Instagram private message, and then I was like, geez, that's such a good answer, if I don't say so myself. And I remember I screen recorded, and I was going to put it on my story, and I think I actually again maybe got some imposter syndrome about it. Sorry, I'm just going to write a little first step, and maybe not. But yeah, cool. So I have a short temper. I shout at them, not badly, but I walk this journey with people in the mentoring lab. That's one thing. I go off on tangents, but at least I find I'm able to go back to my the main thread. So I walk this journey with the professionals in the mentoring lab, and I see these insights, and I see their highs and their lows, and that's what I was saying earlier. I feel like he's giving me some wisdom. But what I see with these individuals is often they will say things like, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. And there's different elements of imposter syndrome that I will talk about in great detail. But the thing I want to give you from my thinking today is consider your audience. And this ties into the stuff about self-esteem I want to talk about. So deriving your self-esteem from how much you can help others. People think they need to be rich or clever or funny or super confident or have a special magical talent when they don't. All you need is to be able to smile or to be kind. And that's super easy. So thinking about what you can do for others, thinking about your audience. I am talking, for instance, to fitness professionals. I'm teaching you about nutrition. I'm teaching them about nutrition. I am the teacher. I am the Viktor Frankl type of nutrition. That sounds way too grand, but I'm the teacher. I'm the one who's further along my journey than them. They don't need to impress me. I don't need to impress Victor. I don't need to help Victor. They don't need to help me. They need to help those that, one, relate to them, identify to them, who just gel with their message. So some people don't connect to me and my personality. This is when I talk about being unapologetically, yourself. Because, and accepting yourself in terms of no matter your personality, your body shape is a big one within the fitness and nutrition industry. Oh, I don't feel like I look the part. You 100% look the part for people you want to help. It's even this thing of you have the experience sometimes. If you are someone who has struggled with your weight, for instance, and you have managed to find a good place. This is the thing for me. If I've struggled with something and I've managed to achieve, if I have something inherently, this is why I struggle to teach people about public speaking sometimes, or not struggle, but feel like, don't ask me, because I am such a natural public speaker that I don't naturally speak to people's beings who struggle. If someone struggled and they went through that struggle and they know the answer, it's amazing. Whereas I literally, as a kid, as a teenager, as a early 20s individual, was super happy on stage, public speaking. So you need to remember, if you've struggled with or you've achieved or you've gone through trials and tribulations and come out the other side, people want that experience. Someone sent me this message right this morning when I talked about imposter syndrome. They said, I'd love to hear from you for someone who's lived it. Sometimes listen to a psychologist, they haven't necessarily lived it. It's nice to hear these experiences. But also with not just like a completely hippy-dippy, oh, this is what I think. I had someone comment that on Instagram. Yeah, well, when I just speak to people, science doesn't tell you everything. It's like, yeah, but what you need to remember is you're speaking to 50 people in your whole life and going, oh, look, they all had eating issues, therefore everyone does. No, you idiot. That's why we have the scientific method. Anyway, hope you're listening. You're probably not. So with regards to this, it's you can speak into people's lives who relate to you, who, like I said, not everyone likes me, not everyone gets me. I'm not going to go there. But the people who connect with you, the people that you resonate with, want to hear from you. And that's where I've gone with this. It's just getting over a little hurdle. And for me, I'm good with imposter syndrome. I've suffered badly in the past, got better. It's an up and down thing. Imposter syndrome never goes away. Even with nutrition, I learn something new. Now, imagine that. Oh, you're the guru, you're the go. All these people are just blowing smoke, which is super nice. Don't stop. Thanks very much. But I learn something new, or I find out something and it's like a paradigm shift, or I'm like, oh my goodness, I've been wrong on XYZ, or oh geez, I didn't know that, or oh my goodness, there's so much more to learn. And I get a little, waver and this little sensation of imposter syndrome. But then this is the methods I want to talk about in this to getting over it. And that's what today is, to tell you this, that the method I've used is, I know there are people out there. And it's lucky for me because I get this feedback. I put it out online. Lots of people say, I want to hear from you. I'm like, great. If I can help one person, fantastic. You use that too. If you can help one person with your podcast, you don't have to help me. Don't worry about getting stuff wrong. Be humble. You're going to get stuff wrong. The only thing you should be scared of is being embarrassed. But if you're not embarrassed because you're humble, nothing matters anymore. I'm just here to help people. This podcast is rubbish, but I'm just here to help people. So it doesn't matter. If you don't want to listen, you don't have to. I haven't set these I don't want to be the next Joe Rogan or Danny Lennon or any of those people. Super good podcasts. I don't want to be someone who's editing loads of stuff, who's planning stuff. That's what I did with MNU. So much pressure, so much preparation. I wanted to do my best. I didn't want to be a world beater. We never tried to be the best at all. We just did our best. But there was no way I wasn't doing MNU to the best of my capability in a way that made people the best practitioners in the world compared to any other course. I wasn't going against other courses. It was just going to be the best course ever, and it has ended up being that way. This podcast is not meant to be that. If you set yourself those high goals, it will stress you out more. MNU stressed me out, but in a good way, a good stress, mostly. So anyway, that's the thing I'm giving you today. Imposter syndrome. If you're trying to help people, you're only trying to speak to your audience. You're only trying to be, and this is what I tell the nutrition guys. Some people don't even know what a calorie is. Some people have no clue about energy balance. Some people have no clue. There are people out there who don't know that eating McDonald's every day for every meal might not be optimal for their health. I've chosen McDonald's just because that's an actual specific scenario that I was aware of. You know, I think I talk about perspective a lot when I talk about happiness. And if you just can get outside of your circle, get outside of MNU, get outside of nutrition professionals, get yourself into a Slimming World or a Weight Watchers group on Facebook. Go do this if you're a nutrition professional. And go and see the questions that people are answering. So someone will ask a question and go look at the answers they get. They're abysmal by, whatever they're called, Slimming World coaches, weight loss coaches, I call these people well-meaning idiots mostly. I can't define it exactly, but, they might be bad people. But when they're not bad people, they're not there to try and profit loads. They want to try and help, but they're just idiots. They aren't people who have been taught, if you don't actually know the answer, don't make it up. The people who, just haven't had an adult, and these people are like 40 and 50 years old, but they haven't had someone older than them saying to them, you need to actually know the answer to something. You can't just make it up. You can't just pick it up from a magazine. Well-meaning idiots. They want to help, but just look at the answers. Okay, go do that. And now think, do you know what? Could my podcast help anyone? Yeah, it flipping could. With the very most basic evidence-based scientific information, you can flipping help so many people. You're not trying to impress me. Write an article on, what a carbohydrate is, what macronutrients are. Keep it super simple. Don't use references. Make it something consumable by someone who just knows nothing about nutrition. That's a really easy win for you. In my instance, do you know what I thought this morning? Jeez, my mind. People who don't have someone in their life who can just speak kind of positivity into it. This was another thinking that I had around this imposter syndrome on my wisdom stuff. If you come from a broken family, a broken situation, you didn't have a great upbringing, or if you did, this word that everyone hates, privilege. Maybe I'll do a thing on privilege as part of my wisdom thing, because most people who use the word privilege are just morons, right? They are activists who just think their opinion is gold and you can't say this, privilege, you're white, you're this, you're that. Mainly white females shouting at me because I'm not allowed to say something because I'm so toxically masculine, and don't actually realize that I'm not who they should be fighting against, because of their bias and the chips on their shoulder. But privilege is such a skimpy word, isn't it? But it's so important to recognize your privilege, and I constantly remind myself of mine, and how good I had it and have it compared to so many other people. But if you didn't grow up in that environment, and you don't, and again, I don't know if this is socioeconomic stuff or what, but I'm aware that there are some people out there who just do not have people who can speak sense into their life, speak positivity into their life, act as a good sounding board. I spoke to someone yesterday about, I think she called it toxic positivity. That was it. She's one of these people who's all into this crap. No, she's a very cool person to talk to. But people who just go, if you're struggling with times, and someone who just goes, it'll be okay, don't worry, everything will be fine tomorrow, and you're like telling them you've just got a diagnosis for terminal cancer and you've got 2 weeks to live. But you haven't told them that yet. You said, I've just had some really bad news, I'm really struggling. And they just go, don't worry, there's always tomorrow. Cool, thanks very much. But that is a bit what the internet is like. I've enjoyed recording this. It's kind of like my own little therapy. It's cool. Love it. So, imposter syndrome. And this, like I've said, this therapy. So, imposter syndrome, giving you that thing of how to think, how to consider things, who can you help, who you're talking to, your audience. I'm not trying to be someone great and amazing. I'm not trying to be the next Marcus Aurelius or Seneca or Viktor Frankl. And I'm just trying to give some insights from my life experience where I've achieved. And just recording this, you can see where my mind goes and the stuff I want to talk about. And I guess where my heart is, to be really hippy-dippy, airy-fairy. Feelings, the stuff that people don't necessarily like talking about or hearing about or makes them feel uncomfortable. But I want to be that guy who brings talking about feelings and talking about some of this stuff to the forefront. Cool. Yeah, that's where my heart is at with this, is I hope that maybe just having some of this positivity in your ears during your morning walks or your evening walks or during a gym session or at night time or while you're cooking or while you're cleaning, stimulate some thinking in yourself, some positivity, the occasional innuendo. I definitely haven't done enough innuendos. I don't know at the time of your listening, maybe I've managed to get more in there. But yeah, lots of people going, he's so funny, this, that and the other. I don't feel very funny when I'm recording these podcasts because my mind goes to this like deep place. Oh yeah, so deep. Rather than when I'm presenting publicly or something like that. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I don't know how long it's gone on for, but yeah, it's been quite cathartic. And I will now press pause and record a podcast on the way less deep and meaningful conversation, constipation, and alike. I hope you're well. Sending you much love. Until next time.